What if the people who claimed to protect dragons had actually been hunting them for centuries? The moment David stepped out of the waterfall, he froze. Standing silently in front of the cave were 5 warriors dressed in black. Each of them wore the symbol of a golden dragon skull on their armor. In their hands were long, spear-like blades forged from a strange blue metal. Their razor-sharp tips crackled with blue lightning. Standing in the center was a tall man. Half of his face was hidden behind a black mask. His golden eyes were exactly the same as the mysterious stranger David had seen before. The masked man slowly smiled. At last. "We have finally found the heir." David stared at him in confusion. "Who are you?" The masked man slowly struck the ground with his spear. "We are the dragon hunters. For 1,000 years, we have searched for the last dragon." David immediately stepped backward. "I don't know anything about any dragon." The man laughed. "Liar, the mark on your wrist. Only the heir of the Dragon King possesses that symbol." At that very moment, the blue mark on David's wrist suddenly began to glow. All 5 dragon hunters instantly dropped to one knee, but only for a brief moment. Then their leader shouted, "The mark has awakened! Kill him now!" In an instant, all 5 hunters charged toward David with incredible speed. David turned and ran with all his strength. A desperate race between life and death had begun across the frozen mountain cliffs. Blue lightning spears flew past him. Every strike split massive rocks apart. David slipped behind a huge boulder and collapsed. His breathing became heavy. At that exact moment, the golden map hidden inside his jacket suddenly began to glow out of the 4 marked locations. Only one lit up with a blazing red light. Valley of Fire. Below it, a new message appeared. "The first key has awakened." David was still staring at the glowing map when suddenly the ground shook violently. A terrifying roar echoed from deep inside the mountains. It was so powerful, even the dragon hunters stopped moving. Everyone turned toward the cave. Then, something enormous slowly emerged from the darkness. A gigantic stone dragon. Its entire body was carved from ancient rock. Every step it took made the entire valley tremble. The dragon hunters instantly took their positions. Their leader slowly raised his hand. Within seconds, the 5 hunters spread out in different directions. They lifted their spears toward the sky. 5 beams of blue lightning shot upward, joining together to create a magical prison. The glowing cage surrounded the stone dragon from every side. David watched in complete shock. These people, they're not ordinary hunters. They've been preparing for this battle for centuries. The stone dragon remained perfectly still. Then, it slowly raised its head toward the sky and unleashed a thunderous roar. Cracks spread across the magical cage. A second later, the prison shattered into thousands of glowing fragments. 2 dragon hunters were thrown violently into the cliffs. Their weapons flew from their hands. But their leader didn't panic at all. He calmly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black crystal. Inside it, red flames swirled endlessly. The moment he smashed the crystal onto the ground, the entire valley was flooded with crimson light. The stone dragon cried out in pain. The blue glow inside its eyes slowly faded. David couldn't believe what he was seeing. These people, they can weaken a dragon's power? At that same moment, the golden map inside David's jacket began glowing once again. This time, a beam of golden light shot directly into the blue mark on his wrist. His entire body became surrounded by brilliant light. Suddenly, a transparent, golden spirit appeared before him. It was the Dragon Queen, the very same queen he had seen in his dream. Her voice was soft, yet filled with overwhelming power. "David, do not fight the Guardian. He is not your enemy. Set him free." As soon as she finished speaking, she vanished. But in that single moment, David understood everything. The dragon hunters hadn't come for treasure. They had come for the first dragon key, the key that would unlock the Dragon King's throne. And if they succeeded, the world's most dangerous secret would fall into the wrong hands. David didn't waste another second. He sprinted toward the wounded stone dragon, but the hunter's leader had already seen him. He pointed his spear directly at David and smiled. "Heir, you cannot escape now." The next instant, David leaped aside just in time. The spear slammed into the rock behind him, reducing the entire cliff to rubble. David finally reached the injured stone dragon. The blue fire burning inside its eyes was almost gone. Dark crystal energy had spread across its neck. David looked down at the glowing mark on his wrist. Without hesitation, he placed his hand on the dragon's forehead. Instantly, a powerful blue light burst from the mark. The energy flowed directly into the guardian dragon. The entire valley was illuminated with brilliant blue light. The dragon hunters stepped backward in shock. For the first time, their leader looked afraid. Moments later, the stone dragon's eyes burst back to life. The cracks across its massive body slowly healed. The guardian raised its enormous head and released a mighty roar. The mountain itself shook. A powerful shockwave exploded across the valley. The guardian looked directly into David's eyes. A voice echoed inside David's mind. "The first key now belongs to you. But if you stay here, you will die." David quickly reached into his pocket. Inside was a small golden crystal, the first dragon key. At that very moment, dark storm clouds gathered across the sky. The temperature rose rapidly. Snow began melting. Smoke poured from the mountain peaks. Then, suddenly, a gigantic volcano erupted. Blazing lava exploded into the heavens. Burning rocks rained across the valley. The guardian dragon let out another mighty roar. "The fire mountains have awakened!" The dragon hunter's leader burst into laughter. "Run, Heir! The fire mountains will kill you before we do." David wasted no time. He gripped the dragon key tightly and sprinted toward the hidden passage. Behind him, the dragon hunters raced after him. Above, volcanoes continued to erupt. Fire, smoke, destruction covered the entire valley. David looked back one last time. The guardian dragon stood alone, holding back the dragon hunters. But far beyond, inside the burning clouds, two gigantic crimson eyes slowly opened. They did not belong to the guardian. They belonged to something far more terrifying. Then, a horrifying roar echoed across the mountains, unlike anything ever heard before. David stopped in fear. He looked toward the fire mountains, and for the very first time, he realized the real test was only beginning. To be continued.